everyone, so welcome you all from my DevOps series. So in this, in the last video we just created a Docker host. So we build the Docker file and we run the Docker commands like Docker build and Docker run to run the container with the image which we created. So in this video we shall integrate the Docker with the Jenkins. So first we have to create a Docker admin user and install a publish over SSH plugin and Docker host to Jenkins. We have to do that. So the first is that uh, we have to create a Docker admin user. Copy this command. Go to this Ubuntu server where the Docker host which we set up, right? That is the one. So now the user is created. So the next command where you can uh, what next you have to add the add the Docker admin user to Docker Docker group. So what you can able to do is that you can copy all these command at a time so that it will be easy for you. Go to the Ubuntu Docker host, shift insert, shift type enter. So what it's telling is that Docker admin user. So this worked fine and this worked fine. So make directory Docker admin. So the file is already exist. Let's see ls. Uh, so we have a Docker admin directory is already. So let us check the ownership of this directory so that it will be easier for us to execute the commands in the directory. So presently it is the group is Docker admin and the user is also Docker admin. So and this in Docker admin user. So after doing this all, so we have to set a password for the Docker admin user. Password dot Docker admin. So password is updated successfully. So once after this, what is that is required is SSH is enabled or not. What we have to check is that system ctl status SSH. So the SSH is up and running. So it's one of the good sign for us. Otherwise, if you don't have SSH, what you can able to do is that apt install SSH. So you can able to do like this so that the SSH will be installed actually, so that it will not be an issue while SSH into the SSHing into the this Docker host. So since we have an up and running, so we need not to worry. We have to configure some etc SSH file. Uh, Control L. So the next thing which we want to do is that we shall go to the etc SSH directory. So we have to configure this sssht.config file because uh, the password authentication is not there. So if you want to check, what you can able to do is that uh, let us try sshing it. Docker admin at the rate 192.168.0.6. So the SSH is working. There is no need to worry about. So if SSH is not working, so the important thing what you have to do configuration is that go for this etc nano SS. Go to this file. So see here, this password authentication is yes. So sometimes this password authentication will be no. So you have to change this uh, file to yes, so that it will be the SSH will work with the password. Once after this is completed, the next thing which we want to do is that we want to edit this file, sudoers file, copy this below command. So why we are doing is that whenever we want to execute any commands from the remote side, uh, it will ask us for the password. When it is going to ask us for the password, uh, it's going to be a problem. Our Jenkins job will fail. So because of that reason, what we can able to do is that uh, so we will insert this command. So for this user, we allow all the commands without any kind of a password. Control X Y. So this completes the process. Exit. So the next thing is that now the Docker host is set up. So if you want to try with entering any commands like apt install ssh. So the front end is locked actually. Let's sudo su. So see, now when you want to log in as a root, it didn't ask for the password. The main reason is that you said in the vi sudo file, you said that you should not ask password. That's the reason whenever you log in to a as a root from the Docker admin user, it is not going to ask for the password. So that's all. So now the Docker host is completely set up. So next thing which you want to do is that go for the Jenkins integration. So we had completed with the Docker setup actually. So the next thing which we want to do after completing the Docker setup is go for manage Jenkins. So we want to install a Docker publish over SSH plugins. So this is the plugin which we want to install. Go for available plugins and search for publish over SSH. So select this install without with restart. So this is going to download the dependency which is required for these plugins to work perfectly fine. So now it is installing publish over SSH. Uh, so now it is installed. So go for manage Jenkins again, and once you go for manage Jenkins, you have to configure the system configuration. In the system configuration, you should be able to see the plugin which you installed, the plugin like publish over SSH. So scroll down to the down. So in the last, you should be able to see the publish over SSH actually, and click on add server. So in this, you enter Docker host. Next, the host name is the IP address which is there for Ubuntu actually, the Docker host. So you can type IPA command. So this is going to give the IP address of it. So this is an IP where this is an IP which is being used actually. You can copy that IP, and you, in the host name you enter that IP 0.6, and the username is the Docker admin. And so click on advanced. So in the advanced, use password authentication, click on that. So take the password authentication 199. So this is the password which we set, right? The password which is set for the Docker admin. So give that. That's all. So give on test configuration. So you should be able to successfully SSH into the device. Click on apply and save. So this completes the setup actually. The next is we want to create a new job. So let us give the job name is uh, build and deploy uh, to Docker. So in that you can able to select the previous one actually, or you can able to create your own job actually. Click on Maven project and click on OK. So we can give the description. Uh, I'm not going with the description. Take on in the source code management. Take on Git and you have to provide uh, of the repository which you are using. Go to the DevOps course repository. Click on uh, the code and take the URL of that repository. Paste here. So one thing which you want to know here is that we are using the public repository. That's the reason we don't require the credentials. So since the repository is in the main head, so you have to provide the main itself to work it properly. Click on main. After that, you want to have a automatic triggers. That's the reason you are configuring poll.sem. So once after this, go for the build process, clean and install. So this for the Maven build. So once after this, click on the post build action. In this, you have to select publish artifact over SSH. So since we install the plugins, so that's the reason we are able to see that option. So since we have a credential setup, it is automatically taking from the SSH server which we added. So this is the SSH server. This is the only one which is there. So here you have to specify the source file where you want that to be uh, located. Actually, the source file means where it is located. Means it is located in the web app at target and the war file, which is so this is the source file means the build which is being done, right? The build process. Uh, in the build process, it will be taken into the web app target, and this is the directory where this where it will be located, the war files, and remove the prefix. So because we don't want that in that prefix that it should be stored, and we only want war file to be exported. So you can specify the directory like uh, home and docker admin. So since we are logging as a docker admin user itself, the default path will be a home / docker admin itself. So here the important things comes here. So the exact commands which we want to give here means the command which you want to execute in that particular docker host, we want to provide here. So this is the docker command. You can copy from here and in front of this you give sudo because it requires a sudo privilege for to execute this command. So after this, click on apply and save. Once after the apply and save is done, click on build now. So once you click on the build, it should trigger. Build process should trigger. So see now the build process is triggered. Go for the console output. So let's wait for some time. So still now it is started connecting to the Docker host. So you could able to see here the SSH connection has been started. So what is the problem where exception when publishing message exit status 0 not 0 means 125, send an artifact is unstable. So let's go to that file actually. So there is some problem actually. So let's see, let's debug those issues. So let's go into the Docker admin home page. Let's see, the Docker file is there. So and we have a web app.war file is also there. It's good that we it is transferred. So there is some problem is there, I think, in executing the Docker run commands. I think let us check Docker PS. So we don't have any containers is up and running. Docker images. So this is the problem where we already have an app v1 file actually. So let's remove it so that it will be easy for us to go. Docker RMI app. We are removing this image, other image ID. So there is some problem actually. Neighborhood suppose image is being used in stopped container. So there is some stopped container actually, Docker PS hyphen A. So since some Docker container is using that, it couldn't able to uh, uh, delete it. So that's the reason we have to remove this container. That's one of the good point because sometimes what happens is that when we don't remove it, the the job is going to fail. So Docker remove 95 means it is removed. You can able to see the Docker container is removed. Even if you give it 9 and 5, this is the initial number of the Docker container ID, it will work actually. So now it's a time for us to remove the image. So nothing is there. You can verify Docker images. Nothing is running and no container, no stopped container is there, no running container is there. We have verified. So now it is a time for us to trigger a job build again. So this is the problem. In the next video, I shall address that problem actually. Let us go and build now. So now when you click on build now, so we must use the post method to trigger proceed. So the build is initiated. Let's go and see. So the build of Maven directory is done. So let's wait for some time. So now it is connecting to the Docker host. So let's go and see. Uh, we have a Docker file. We have a webapp.war file. So next, let us check for Docker PS. So we have a container is up and running. So that's one of the very important things. So the port which it is running is 8087. So if you want to check what is the status of it, so now the build is success. What you can do, you can go here and go for Firefox and you can do a localhost with the port 8080 colon. So you could able, it should work. You should be able to see the default page actually. Sorry. Okay, so localhost 8087. So now you should be able to see that the Tomcat, actually Tomcat homepage. So to access our image actually, you can go for web app. So So see, you could able to access the actual uh, index.jx file actually from the roast from the source repository to actual deployment to the Docker container. So in the next video, we shall address some issues which we faced in this video, like uh, when during the previous build, there is some unstable and error messages which came right because of some previous Docker containers were running and previous images were there. That's the reason we couldn't able to do that. So in the next video, we shall address that issues.